How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by BetsTV.
As a general life.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, DeQwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm trying to give away $25,000. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, BetsTV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. Happy Monday to everybody. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by BetsTV. I am Preston Johnson, your host. DeQwan Young, co-host, producer, doing stuff there on the back. Man, what a weekend. There was some wild Game 7 action. There was also a weird Game 1 I want to get into as far as the NBA is concerned. Obviously, MLB is still going strong, NHL playoffs, Euro Cup, Bitcoin's down 20%. Happy Monday. It is good to be alive. We just want to take calls all show. I want you guys to help us find some winners. So we're opening up the lines from the get-go. 661-515-BETS. Shout out to the 661, my hometown, Valencia, California. 661-515-2387. Call in for a couple of reasons. One, I want you guys to give us some winners today. I want to talk about your thoughts and feelings regarding the weekend games if you're an NBA fan. Also, what you're seeing in the Western Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll talk to Qwan as well. We'll get his fades. I also, man, if you're just a Philly fan out there that needs to vent, give us a ring. Like, let's talk about this because I have no idea where your future is headed, the future for Ben Simmons. We'll talk through that. And the other thing, you guys can win money. We got $600 so far this month in my vegan and exercise jar. We're giving it away to the caller in June that calls in and gives us the most winners. It's a free $600. If I fail to eat vegan for a day or exercise, I keep adding $100 at a time to the Qwan. Qwan just decided to say hi. I don't know if you wanted to wave in front of the camera for everyone real quick. Like little fake Zoom, grab a marker from the couch. Look, we're going to be having a great day. But it's going to be really NBA heavy early, and we want your calls to give us the winners. Do you know what in the world happened to Philadelphia 76ers? I know you've mentioned before you've lived all across the land. You're Detroit, South Carolina, Atlanta. Did you live in Philadelphia for a while?
In Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, so you've lived in Pittsburgh. What are your general sentiments? Do you have any friends that are Philadelphia Sixers fans? Like what just happened?
I think that Ben Simmons is going to get strung up by the Liberty Bell. I mean, just complete. Everybody's talking about the stats, but it's just showing up. Period. Like the dunk. Like Embiid just straight up said it. It's like the reason that we didn't win was because we had a wide open look and we only came away with a free throw. So.
Okay, well, let's start there. Okay, because I'm not sure I have ever seen someone have such a wide open dunk down two to tie a game late and not even look up at the rim with his eyes and just jump and look down at Matisse Thybulle, and he's like, I'm going to lay it off to him with two other defenders on the ground. Look, he ended up getting fouled. He goes to the free throw line. He only makes one. But that was the epitome of this series for Ben Simmons. And I'll just throw some numbers out there, okay? Because everyone's probably heard Ben Simmons didn't even shoot a fourth quarter field goal the last 4 games of the series. That's true. He didn't attempt a single field goal for 4 games in the series. He only shot 3 the entire series, period. Now he was 3 for 3. You want to talk about his true shooting percentage on those 3 field goals he attempted, I guess, for 7 games in fourth quarters? Like, that's fine. But passing on that dunk, that was just a 2 for 4 line on the entire game. It's a Game 7 at home. You get a Trae Young game where he goes 5 for 23. And that's why I think you have to credit Atlanta some. Obviously, Kevin Huerter, even Gallinari off the bench. Bogdanovich wasn't 100% healthy. The fact the Hawks won that and then Embiid said what he said after, that was probably the last game Ben Simmons plays in that uniform.
Not even just Embiid, Doc. Like, they completely threw him under the bus. Like, with no remorse, no regard, no type of professionalism. And I think it's when you get to that point with, I mean, Gobert is another example. Like, you get guys that are only specialists. It doesn't work in this positionless NBA. You get guys who get taken advantage of out on the perimeter. Like, they went at Gobert like he wasn't Defensive Player of the Year. They directly attacked him, and it paid off. And I think that's going to be a big part of the next series for the Hawks, too.
So let me ask you this. I know you're not as well versed as far as playing and coaching when it comes to basketball, but just try to mold your mind around like your experience with football. And okay, Ben Simmons, he's heard for a few years now like he needs to learn how to shoot. He's probably worked on free throw shooting. He supposedly takes some threes in practice and never wants to shoot them in the game. That's fine. He clearly, if he's not taking dunks and making free throws, like I don't want this guy shooting threes yet anyway. But the mental roadblock here, is there something you can kind of equate it to or speak to? Have you ever had a situation where a teammate or yourself like just couldn't get past a certain point regarding something as simple as just trying to shoot the basketball in a game you play where you're supposed to put the basketball in the hoop? Like I just never really seen anything like it to this extent. And people that have followed me for a while know my background's in sports psychology. I have a master's degree from the University of Utah in sports psychology. I never worked in the field afterwards, but I did during school. While you're doing master's work, you work with some coaches and some local athletes. And I've been around it to a small degree. And they always talk about, mental preparedness. Like this is a professional player that's been working on this skill for a few years, supposedly, and he's still just so scared. And I wonder if that's something he can get over eventually, or if you think this is just it for Ben Simmons and he's just kind of molded into the player he's going to be long term. Is this like the peak, I guess, for Ben Simmons?
I think the chemical makeup of that team doesn't really benefit him either.
That's fair.
I think I saw somebody say that you got two post players and Embiid and Simmons, and it's just not enough room for that. So, I mean, I know a lot of people are saying Simmons.
But then if he's a post player, why isn't he dunking? Yeah, exactly. He has a dunk. He's open.
For him, I think it's completely just confident. Like, everybody knows the scouting report. Everybody knows what they're going to get from Ben Simmons, and he's done nothing to assertively change it or he's not aggressive.
Yep.
Doesn't take the shots, and he puts the pressure on everybody else. So if you're just out there, you're not showing up, hell, you making my job easier.
So that's my worry. Is he just not going to ever get there, or does he need a new team? Which we'll talk about it down the road. If there's ever a trade, we'll talk about futures implications. It seems like that's where things are going to go. Again, I want to give Hawks credit because in a Trae Young game, he went 5 for 23, and Bogdanovich only played 20 or 21 minutes, I believe it was. They still won this game on the road, Game 7. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks, which I'll hit on briefly. Again, phone lines are open, 661-515-BETS. We'll talk about the bets you've made today, maybe for the following week coming up. Baseball, hockey, soccer, whatever you guys want to talk about. I think the Bucks-Nets series is pretty easy to sum up. If the Nets were healthy, if Kyrie and Harden actually had played the majority of the series, and they did not, it's a breeze, right? So I don't even need to dwell on it. It was a great Game 7, actually. I think overtime helped. They said it was the most points scored in a Game 7 ever. But at the same time, it was the fewest possessions in a single NBA game all year in regulation was this matchup. So the efficiency from like KD and Giannis was through the roof. And I enjoyed it as a fan, but I don't think you can really blame the Nets. And sure, congrats, Mike Budenholzer, for playing 6.5 guys and finally figuring out how to maximize some minutes and get the W. But when it's all said and done, like I don't think anyone left that series thinking, wow, Bucks upset the Nets. Like the Nets would have just cruised. Those first two games, I think, were more telling of how the series would have gone otherwise, which then now presents this weird picture. You have this Bucks team that I think overachieved in the sense that they beat a really limited and depleted Nets team. Now they're going up against the Hawks, and if we have the lines for the series up, we can talk about them here briefly. The Hawks, Trae Young has a shoulder issue that they talked about after Game 6 that was bugging him. He was still probable, but he's been dealing with it. And then he goes 5 for 23 in Game 7. Bogdanovich tweaked his knee, I believe it was, right? And he only plays 21 minutes, and he was basically a game-time decision. How much can we really take from the Hawks Nets? Because I think like the Hawks absolutely, I should say the Bucks Nets, sorry. The Hawks absolutely overachieved in that sense. The Bucks underachieved, yet everyone's seeing, and I know common like kind of people that aren't following markets as regularly in the NBA, and even had someone ask me, a friend last night, ask what are the Hawks to win the series? He's from Atlanta, but he doesn't bet a ton. But he wanted to just get a shot, and he couldn't believe the opener, by the way, was Hawks plus 300, Bucks minus 400. That has since moved up. The Bucks are now minus 480. The Hawks are plus 370. He couldn't believe the Hawks were even 3-1. He couldn't wait to bet that. And I was like, just wait it out. It was only up at 1 or 2 shops early. And so now he's getting nearly 4-1. My personal projections have the Bucks winning the series 83.5% of the time. It's actually a little bit over minus 500. And that's not even accounting for the fact that Bogdanovich and Trey don't seem to be 100%, especially Bogdanovich. So I actually agreed with the move on the Bucks. If anything, I would look. You can get minus 2.5 games if you don't want to lay huge juice, which most people don't. You could lay Bucks win in 4 or 5 games, or you could just bet over under 5.5 games as a whole. Maybe Giannis and Middleton collide in game 1 and they both tear ACLs, and the Hawks somehow win this in 4 or 5. You can go under if you prefer to go that route rather than laying 2.5 games with the Bucks. I'm curious if you have any thoughts coming from someone that is an Atlanta native for a few months, I believe, back in the day. What's the sentiment there? Like, does anyone think they have a real chance? Because I think most of the fans seeing what they've done to the Knicks and now the Sixers are like, wow, the Hawks, like, up and coming. Personally, like, I think it's really unlikely, and I'm hoping there's some opportunity to bet on the Bucks.
I think it's an emotional thing. I think you see the charge from Trey. I think he's becoming a superstar in this playoff. I mean, like you said yesterday in Game 7, man, it took him a while to get something going. In the fourth quarter, he finally stepped up. So you get somebody who's emotional, and it's hard to say because I think the Bucks' next series was probably a lot harder on Milwaukee than Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and my only thing is Atlanta, they can pull something out on the road. So I think that minus 2.5, that's going to be something I look at later in the show.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Your faces never give me any confidence.
Well, you said minus 2.5, so we can just get into it a little bit right now. You're saying that you kind of like the Bucks to win in a blowout as far as winning 4-1 or winning 4-0. And the reason I said, oh, okay, and made that face is that's the direction I lean, too. Look, I think this should be like minus 505 is my true price, I think. So like, I kind of lean your way, but it also scares me because the name of the segment is Qwan Fades. So, like, what am I supposed to do?
We'll look at it.
Okay.
I think that Atlanta, they're going to pull off at least 1 or 2 road wins. I hope they'll get one at home. I trust Nate McMillan a little more than Bud right now, which is
fair.
think is a good assessment of how Atlanta's being coached and Milwaukee's being coached. I don't think that there should be more than one Antetokounmpo on the floor for Milwaukee at any point during the game. So, it's the rotation thing kind of got me with the Nets series. So, we'll see how Bud comes out and adjusts to Atlanta. But I like him. I like emotion, man. Atlanta's riding the wave high. I don't like them enough to pick them to win the Eastern Conference. Yet is the key word there.
I mean, nobody did. I didn't. I'll give Jared Quay a shout out. I did some NBA bet streams with the NBA and the Yahoo guys and some of the Action Network guys once a week for like the last 15 weeks of the season. So we called these games on NBA League Pass. And Jared, I actually gave him some crap for this. The Suns, like he called before the season, he loved Phoenix. He saw what they did in the bubble. Then they had Chris Paul. I think they went undefeated in the bubble. They were like 8-0. And so I was like, great call, but I don't know. Most people that are following the league know the Suns are going to be good. But he did say the Hawks. He had them like when we do like our power ratings, analyst by analyst, I swear he had them like in his top 5 or 6. And for me, they were like 11th or 12th every week. So they only showed my top 10. And he kept asking me why the Hawks were in my top 10. And I just didn't have them there. And here we are with the Hawks and the Suns in the Final Four. And he has a chance to somehow predict a very unlikely finals matchup. So I got to give him some love there. And we'll see what happens. I'm very intrigued to see if they can keep it up. But the numbers, my numbers at least, point to the Bucks. Call 661-515-BETS. Let's make sure the phone lines are actually open, Qwan. We'll make sure because we have $600 we're giving away this month at least to the callers that can pick the most winners. And we have an entire MLB slate. We have the Islanders Lightning game tonight in the NHL. Vegas plays tomorrow. If you want to look ahead and I have some friends in Vegas. I'm always talking to them about what's going to happen in these hockey series. Seemingly none of them actually really believed last series. They come back and win down 2-0 and against Colorado, and here we are. And we can talk Euro Cup. I know everyone actually. What's the score of that Denmark-Russia match? I don't know if you saw this. Like everyone was talking about the expected goals for Denmark in their last match was 4.5 to 1, and Denmark still lost. And everyone was hammering Denmark against Russia. I saw Denmark was plus money. Who's up? Denmark?
Denmark.
All right, well, I'm happy for everybody else. I didn't bet it, or even I don't try to bet soccer, but there you go. Everyone was hammering. Denmark was a dog early. They minus 140s last I saw. I think I looked this morning, and they probably just kept getting bet today, and, well, they're up 2-0. So good spot for everyone I know that bet Denmark. But we can talk other Euro Cup. And the last thing on my agenda for the weekend, Ty Lue. Like what's going on? I don't even know where to start. I never do this. I usually just talk on what's going on through my head. I recall numbers from I've looked at anyways, or box scores the night before, or just kind of gathering my thoughts. I maybe think it through for a couple of seconds, and then I just talk. I wrote down a list here of everything I want to make sure I hit on, because I don't know of a weirder approach to game one of the Western Conference Finals like in the history of the sport. So we saw it happen against Dallas. Ty Lue comes out. He plays a multitude of players, 10, 11 guys, wants to try to figure out what the rotations are. He wants to feel it out. Terrence Mann isn't even playing minutes, even though, late in the season and the regular season, he was a huge positive impact guy for them. Talked about that before. Talked about Terrence Mann plenty. They go down 0-2 with Kawhi Leonard, by the way. They end up coming back and winning the series. They shorten the rotation to about 8 guys. They figure out who's going to go. And I thought for sure, okay, like he figured one gets too tired. And then they end up going down 0-2. Same thing as Dallas. Again, with Kawhi Leonard. They come back and win the series. Great. You found your rotation of 8 guys. Guys like Cousins and Rondo and Zubats basically were unplayable. Sorry, Zoo. Everyone knows I'm a big Zubats fan, but look, he was getting beat up by Luka and Donovan Mitchell. He couldn't even stay on the floor. Otherwise, they were working him. I thought for sure, Game 6, they're down 25. This huge comeback win. Terrence Mann drops nearly 40. He's figured out the rotations. They're set 8, but it's more like 7.5 guys. I understand they win. Short turnaround, early game. Your best chance at winning a Game 1 on the road, or I should just say any game on the road against Phoenix this series, is the one that Chris Paul is not playing in, Ty. And you probably want to take advantage of that when Kawhi Leonard, your best player, isn't even playing himself. And we have no idea, just speculation, on if he's going to play at all in this series. He didn't travel to Phoenix. He's not going to be playing Game 2. Chris Paul's also up in the air. Is he going to play Game 2? Maybe Game 3 is more likely, depending on when the positive tests or negative tests are confirmed in the 10-day period, etc. I don't know, of all the games that he could have gone out of his way to make sure they lock in and win, it was last night. It was Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, where it's probably the one chance you're going to be able to beat Phoenix on the road. Instead, he did the feel-it-out thing. He played 10 guys. He decided that Rajon Rondo, who, again, unplayable against Utah, played the entire fourth quarter. He played a total of, 22 minutes? I told you guys, I made notes on this because I wanted to make sure I hit on everything. 22 minutes. He was a minus 17 the last time I looked in the game, yet he played the entire fourth in 22 minutes. I didn't understand it. I think Ty Lue and the Clippers had an opportunity. Maybe they think they can now kind of revert back to an 8-man rotation in Game 2 and attack a Phoenix Suns team that is extremely weak if Chris Paul is not playing when it's all said and done. Devin Booker had a hell of a game. Credit to him. 30-something, was a 39 almost, and a triple-double, the first Suns triple-double, and who knows how long it was. He deserves a ton of credit. Can he repeat that? And even if he does, look, the Clippers were right there anyway and just kind of let it go away in the fourth quarter. So I thought Ty Lue made a massive mistake. Like the game theory of how are you going to win this series when your best player might not play in it, and you know for certain that the other team's best player is out Game 1. Maybe you want to try to win Game 1, or at least give yourself the best chance to, and playing 10 guys and a bunch of Rajon Rondo and DeMarcus Cousins and Zubats, I did not think was the way to go about it. So I wish I could say and find, like we have in the past series, a reason to back the Clippers. Kawhi was playing in those series, and I thought that there were adjustments to be made. Now, while they could make some adjustments, we don't know if Kawhi's coming back, and we don't know if Chris Paul is actually going to be playing, but likely we'll be back by Game 3, and it's going to be a little bit tougher for LA. So that's my thoughts on Ty Lue. I apologize to the Ty Lue apologists out there. I'm not sure, Qwan, if you guys are friends, if you need to send him an apology text later. You guys lived together for a few days once. Yeah.
In Atlanta.
I just couldn't believe it. And here we are. I'll just say this last thing. Game 2, +6. If Chris Paul is ruled out again, they have to win this game, you would think, but this guy just won't do it until they're down 0-2 and going home. But +6 is like a good bet if you can assume that he plays like his 8 best and doesn't play Rondo and Cousins a bunch. Again, this is if Chris Paul's ruled out. If he plays, then it's probably going to sit around 5.5, 6 anyway. But man, I want to try to find a way to bet the Clippers in the series or game 2, but I just think it's over. I think that was their best shot to try to, and the other thing, the non-numbers, like throw the analytics out. All the narrative people, general media, they're like, ooh, you gotta the young guys like Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, like you gotta throw them off of their game and spook them, right? They've never been on the big stage before, Western Conference Finals. I mean, if you believe in that in any way, like Ty Lue probably has some sense of belief in that. He's a former player. He's won before, coach. Like that was their chance to really like say, hey, we're here. You're not just going to roll past us. Your best player, Chris Paul, or at least one of the top 2 best players on your team is going to be out for an extended period. I just couldn't believe what happened there. I'm disappointed. At least I'm a Lakers fan. I don't know. Am I allowed to say that? We won a title last year. Can I go back to that? I don't know. It's disappointing.
I think it's a good. Who do you think is the best remaining coach of the 4?
That should have been like a poll. We should have put that up. The best remaining coach of the 4. I mean, everyone's been talking about Ty Lue and his adjustments, but like, what? There's at some point a coach that doesn't make adjustments early enough, it's going to come back and bite you. I think it will now this series, and that makes you a worse coach because you like wait too long to make adjustments or something. At least he's making them though, right? Yeah, there's some that don't, like Mike Budenholzer has in the past. It's hard to say Nate McMillan, but like Monty Williams, I don't know. It's extremely weird. That poll would have been interesting. I'm guessing some sort of split. Do you have a favorite or someone that you think's best?
I would trust Monty just because I think he has a full control over. I guess Chris Paul, he has somebody on the floor like that, so he'll make adjustments when CP3 comes back. I would trust him the most.
I think that's fair. Chris Paul's kind of the coach anyway, right? Like, it's kind of like a combo role where it's, you have Chris Paul coaching your team, you're probably in good shape. All right, do we want to hit? Phone lines are quiet today. First time we haven't had calls, but it's fine. I got to give like 15 minutes on Ty Lue and what just happened in game 1, where I still am in disbelief. And I think I had some friends that I was in a thread with yesterday that actually bet the Suns, so it worked out for them. I just couldn't believe. Like, that was the one game the Clippers had to win, and it was their best chance to, and they couldn't figure it out. Baseball, we have, I believe, 8 games on the diamond. Have you been following baseball a ton, Qwan? I don't know if you're technically like a Detroit Tigers fan. I know maybe that's why you haven't been as much. But, again, you say you're from everywhere.
All Detroit sports suck right now. I catch I went to a Dodger game a couple weeks ago, but I don't really catch too much live. It's hard for me to watch baseball on TV. It's something that you got to actually be there. I think everybody would agree with me that you have to actually be at a baseball game to enjoy it to an extent.
Yeah, so, okay. We could talk about this for a second. People wonder why baseball's dying. It's extremely slow. It's a slow sport. It's hard to watch on TV, 100%. I'll tell you this, though. I'll admit it. I'm not afraid. Everyone knows I'm a big NBA fan. Everyone knows college football has like been my bread and butter from a betting perspective for a decade plus. The best experience, my favorite game to go to, my best event to attend is a baseball game at Chavez Ravine, LA Dodgers, like the perfect weather, 7:10 start. But there's nothing that can beat the atmosphere of. For me, it's like the stress of watching a football game or basketball game live. It's like you really have to be paying attention, or else you might miss something. And baseball, it's like you just go. People that drink beers, they can drink their beers. You can just snack. You can talk. You have company you're going with, and it's just like great, relaxing weather. And you're watching a game that's a slower game. It's my favorite. But I'll take you to a Dodger game too here this year. That'll be fun. But that is number 1 on my list. Number 2 all time is probably game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Actually, someone took me to see the Vegas Knights when they were there. That I had goosebumps, and I don't even care about hockey. So I'll say there was something there that took it to another level. And then after that, football and basketball. Been to plenty of those, but it just doesn't do it for me. I love the MLB. I think we finally got a caller. Do we have a winner? We have someone that wants to tell us in the crowd who is going to win tonight, and if so, we will mark them on the leaderboard. We've been tracking over the course of June. By the way, shout out to everyone that played Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire last week. Really well. 13 contestants. They went well. Down to 2 on the final day. Both of them ended up losing the player prop question, but they almost pocketed some cash. That was very close. We're going to run it back soon enough. We're getting a little studio update here in the near future. Teaser for that. But we do have a caller. We'll talk to them here if they're ready. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah. This is Preston. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Cheetah. How are you?
I am fantastic. Tell us what you're doing, what you're calling about. Do you have a bet? Do you have a winner for us? We're trying to find some winners today.
Well, I just wondered what you thought about the Dodgers being an underdog tonight. I think you got to take it just on the principle of them being an underdog for, I think, the first time since 2019.
I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case. I'll say this. There's a lot of times you just have to bet it on principle. But the market's also pretty smart. Like there's why do you think the Dodgers are underdogs, for example? Let me just ask you that. Why do you think that they're underdogs in the end?
I think it's slipping my mind who's thrown for the Padres tonight, but he's probably been a bit better on the mound, and I think
Darvish.
The public, yeah. So if he can get through the first inning, Darvish is pretty good, and then I think the market's high on the Padres. I think people like betting them, and they love Tatis and his antics and Machado, and that would be my guess. Okay,
so do we have his Twitter handle, Qwan? Give us your Twitter handle real quick, and then we'll jot you down for this. We're going to give you plus 117 at Chris. That's like a nice global number, a pretty good price you can get on the Dodger side. What's your Twitter handle, though, real quick?
It's at TyWas28.
Oh, this is Ty. Nice. All right.
Yep.
I got you. I know who you are. We chat here and there. We'll lock you in for plus 117 on the Dodgers, and I appreciate the call, man. You have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
So this is what's interesting about the whole. I mean, you could argue that the Dodgers and the Padres are the two best teams in baseball, period. Like I'm pretty sure they have the two best run differentials in the National League. I'm double checking on that right now. The Dodgers are a plus 103. Oh, I take that back. The Giants now are up. They're second, and the Padres are third. So this division is just loaded. I still feel like the Giants are a little bit not as good as their record or their run differential, but at the same time, that's what run differential is supposed to explain, right? It's supposed to say, hey, you're beating teams by this many runs. You're supposed to have this many wins. But yeah, the market loves the Padres. I think it's warranted. I'm not necessarily going to be, shamming the pick, because it's like you're getting a Dodgers team that I think when it's all said and done, most people would say as a whole is probably the best in baseball still. They're obviously just won a World Series. But look, it's the Padres. The Dodgers are on the road. There's still some sort of home field advantage that exists. And Yu Darvish has been really, really good for the last 2 seasons. He's at an ERA just over 2. And his fielding independent pitching is like under 3. It's like a pretty, confident and trustworthy underlying metrics and ERA for him. So I'm staying away. I respect the crowd of like, you have to do something on principle. I feel like I said that same line after I'm kind of giving Ty like a little bit of for liking the Dodgers side. There was something recently where I was like, oh, you just got to do it, like just principle. But I don't remember what it was. It might come to me in a second. What Dodger game did you go to, by the way, Qwan?
2 weeks ago, I want to say San Diego.
Did they? Oh, it was the Padres game. Did they win? Who won? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
He doesn't even remember who won.
There was a lot of Michelated. It's my first time. There was a lot of consumption of alcoholic beverages.
That's allowed.
I don't even remember.
He is 21, folks. Okay, yeah, he's good.
The teams or anything.
That's all right. I'm going to be tuning in though. I'm glad Ty likes the dog. What we need to actually do, which so far to this point, everyone that's called in on the other Last Word Cheetah shows, they were picking favorites or they were laying prices on mostly basketball. We've done some first quarters, but regardless, there hasn't been a plus money pick. So we actually should track the units. So when if Ty gets a win today and the Dodgers pull this off, he doesn't just get one win, he gets 1.17 wins, right? So it's an easy way to kind of differentiate too. If there's like a tie later, like if he's winning on some underdog picks, that's a big deal, right? Underdogs are harder to win than laying minus 110 or even higher. So we'll keep track of that, Ty. I appreciate the call again. And anybody else that wants to call in, we want some winners. $600 again this month so far, going to our callers. 661-515-BETS. It's time, Qwan, if you're ready for the moment of the week. He teased it earlier. It's in the Bucks Hawks. This guy's been a Hawks fan all his life. He lived in Atlanta for years.
I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. All right, so Qwan fades.
Tell us.
So I'm going to do some consulting with you on this one.
Okay.
I need a lot of help. Once again, looking at the lines, I'm going to pull them up here. Games won. I said minus 2.5. Hawks plus 2.5. Like I said, I think they win 1 or 2 on the road. I think this goes.
Gosh.
It's an emotional thing, man. I just don't believe in Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis just had what, like 37 and 13 and 7.
Like I think the last 3 games was like 35 a game or something like that. But I just don't believe it. Like I know that it's one of those default things.
I was wrong. It was not. I said something 13 and 5. It was 40, 13 and 5. I know overtime helped a little bit. I got to back him up a little bit. I know, yes, he can't make free throws occasionally, but he's not like Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
He's still going to the rack hard. He actually adjusted mid-series and stopped shooting threes. He couldn't hit a 3 to save his life. And here we are. In the last 2 games, he just absolutely dominated, attacked inside, caused some mismatches and foul trouble for some of the bigs on the Brooklyn side. I got to give Giannis a shout-out. I thought he played an incredible Game 7. Obviously, KD did too. But the fact that Middleton was 9 of 26 and Drew Holiday pulled a Trae Young, he was actually the first Trae Young. Drew Holiday went 5 for 23. He hit like 2 big buckets in that late fourth quarter, though. But Giannis was the consistency, and I got to give him a shout-out. 40, 13, and 5. I know you can't trust him, but like, who are you trusting for Atlanta more than Giannis?
I'm not saying that I trust Atlanta more. I'm saying that you're going to have those games where Middleton's off and Giannis isn't getting the help. And I think with that energy, that crowd, that youth, I think they're going to 1 on the road and 2 at home.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be.
So here's the thing. So you think this is going to be a 7-game series then?
I think so. This basketball over the last year and a half or coronavirus,
it's been weird.
It's been great.
Yeah.
It's been entertaining, but it's not great basketball. So I don't think that the level of consistency that we're getting from the Bucks over the last few years is going to be dominant. I think Drew Holiday is absolutely the key factor.
And he kind of disappeared in most of that Brooklyn series, at least on the offensive side. Yeah.
So for Qwan fades, we got a call right here. I'm going plus 2.5.
All right.
Atlanta. I'm taking over 5.5 because I think they're going 7. They could go 6, so I'm good there.
All right, I'll follow up. You can get the caller ready. We'll get to him in like 30 seconds. But so I lean the other way. This is called Qwan Fades for a reason. Again, if you shop around, try to get your best price on the Milwaukee side, I think the true line should be minus 505. It was minus 400 last night at open. It's moved. But if you can get even again, you don't want to lay that much juice. That's fine too. You can find a derivative play under 5.5 games at plus money. You can find the minus 2.5 at plus money. But Quan's going the other way. He's taking the 2.5 games. I just think Bogdanovich, the knee tweak, he did not look great trying to give it a go. If he's not 100% as is, Trae Young also kind of funky, right, with his shoulder. As much as you don't want to trust Giannis or the Bucks, and I get it, I can't trust Atlanta right now. So for me, I lean the other way, but this is why it's Qwan Fades. And he's been pretty good when we were shooting before we went to Dallas to the Fantasy Sports Gaming Association Conference and before we did a run of Betting Extraordinaire shows. Qwan, I believe, did 4 picks on our last Word Cheetah episodes. And he started like 1-1 or 2-2. Then he actually swept the board once. So I think he's like a 5-2 record so far. So the Qwan Fade segment isn't panning out like it should. Let me know when we're ready. We can take the caller.
It'll probably be next Monday.
Oh, we're playing. He's trying to play Who Wants to Be Betting Extraordinaire. Yeah, give us a call back, Carlos. We'll for sure start playing that again. I know last week we wanted to focus on that and just kind of get a vibe of how it played out we thought it went really well, actually. Again, we had 13 contestants on a Monday. We ran it, a few laddered up, and ultimately, fell short. But the idea is that we can run that every day, every week, and we will do that more in the future. But I teased you guys, but we have this part of the set. It's like my man cave. We got a couch laid back, kind of set 2 over here. We still have a set 3, which we haven't shown before, that we're going to host Who Wants to Be Betting Extraordinaire from. It'll be its own show. Last Word Cheetah will be its own show. So we're going to make sure that's up. We have our contractor coming in tomorrow, actually, to finish off the job. So we're going to get that to you guys. I know everyone wants to play. It's a free shot at $25,000. And I was already talking to someone that works elsewhere that wants to partner in some form or fashion, wants to add to the pool. So maybe we can get it up to $50,000. Like, we're going to figure out a way to make this pretty cool, pretty big. We're just making sure everything's set and the quality can be perfect. But thanks, Carlos, for calling. If I was a caller, I'd be like, no, I don't want to talk about games today. I want to play Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire. Like, I don't blame him.
About it at all.
Yeah.
I'm also 3-3 unofficially. I'm 3-3 in Qwan fades. I did say.
Wait a second. Hold on. You can leave the camera on you. It's fine. There was a guy that was fading you in like round robin parlaying. Scott. Yeah. Maybe he's still listening. He was betting against you. I thought he got like crushed. I thought he got reverse swept one of the days. You're not 5-2 or 5.
2-1. I went 2-1.
Okay, so you're only 3-3 overall.
I missed Brooklyn.
Okay, so while you were on the phone talking to Carlos, I told everyone that you were better than you actually are. He's 3-3. Then this is going.
It's 500. Listen.
They're all down.
Now, I would take my chips, which is actually nothing, and leave the casino because. I won and I lost equally.
We can't do that on this show. You're jamming it in on the Hawks plus 2.5 series games. You need Trae Young and company to come up with at least 2 wins or win the series.
I also want to add this. Terrence Mann over 13.5.
For game 2?
I think that's the series line.
He can't. Okay, hold on. We got to talk to Qwan for a second.
We got to talk
He can't have 13.5 points prop for his entire series. There's maybe 6 games left.
It's game 2.
This guy just dropped a 40 ball.
It might be game 2.
Yeah, it's probably game 2, but that's why we fade over here.
That's why we fade over here. I do not know what I'm talking about. But that's why you're in the seat that you're in.
I do like it as a game 2 bet, though, because God help me. Ty Lue cannot play Rajon Rondo, DeMarcus Cousins, and Zubats like he did in game 1. He cannot play 10 guys. If Chris Paul is out, again, and we know Kawhi is not going to be playing, this is their best shot at winning in Phoenix. It just is. And they have to go all out. It just, no matter what, or else I think the series is over. So you can get +6. Man's probably going to play a lot more than 27 minutes this time. He might go over that 13.5. I don't blame you. You brought it up, so you know what that means. It's counting. Hawks plus 2.5 series games and Terrence Mann over the 13.5 points game 2.
6-3 after, Wednesday? They play Tuesday, right?
We'll see about that. Yeah. They'll play it down the road. Cool, man.
I think I should. I feel like this wager needs something. Like I want to put my hair on the line.
Your hair?
Yeah. I've been growing this luxurious mini afro since February, and I think
beard versus beard.
I don't think you should put your beard on the line. Your beard is
a little more valuable than.
Yeah, it's a little more. I look like whatever with this. I don't think people really expect me to show up looking like something.
All right, I got something.
Okay.
All right, so your whole idea is that you can finish better than 500.
Better than 500.
Even though he's laying juice in some of these, we won't worry about it. This guy needs to get better than 500. If you don't, you have to add $100 into the jar that we'll give away at the end of June. Okay. So your record at the end of June,
Scott,
if it's better than 500.
You specifically.
But here's the deal: if it's better than 500, what is it that I have to do? I don't know. Do I just have to give you $100?
I think that I want to see you do a TikTok dance.
Oh gosh, is that a thing?
Yeah. Like I feel like you would excel on TikTok or something. We're gonna pull.
There's no way I would excel on TikTok.
Listen,
let's make sure that's clear.
That's why this is interesting. It's Qwan fades versus Preston dancing.
Okay.
There's a chance that you won't even have to do anything.
Look, I'm a music fan. Everyone that's followed me knows that at this point. Not a dancing fan. Not a dancing fan. What? Hold on. Let's talk about this for a second. And if there are any more calls that we want to take, people can call in 661-515-BETS. 661-515-2387. We're going to close up here in a few minutes, so we'll say last call for calls. When you said I have to do a TikTok dance, you talk to it as if it's something that's like common, that when you refer to TikTok dancing, like everyone should know what that looks like. I have no idea what that looks like. Are there multiple options of TikTok dances, or is there like one that's popular and viral right now?
I don't. I think that by the time we get to the end of this bet, there will be a new one. But whatever.
All right. So whatever the popular one is.
Difficulty level. I'm not a TikTok dancer. I've been known to cut a rug a few times. I would like to see Preston doing something on the internet that's a little funnier. Like maybe can you do what's the one behind the back? The floss?
My daughter knows how to floss.
Yeah, we'll get you on.
We'll get me flossing? All right. I can probably figure that out. I played drums back in the day. I got some coordination. I can figure that out. Cut a rug, especially in an energetic or accomplished way, someone that can dance. Yeah.
Did you have to look up?
I was like, I didn't know what it meant.
Never heard cut a rug?
I didn't know exactly what it meant. I don't know if there was more to it. I was like, let's just make sure we're trying to keep this. It just means you're a skilled dancer.
Yes.
He said he's been known to cut a rug a few times, so maybe you have to show me how it's done. I'm not 100% sure. All right. Any more calls on the line? No? We're clear? All right. It's the last word. I'm giving you guys the last word. It is going to be painful. All right. I just bashed the guy earlier on the show for 10 minutes. My sources, I don't really have sources, but the ones that I pretend to have, the feeling, the sentiment around Game 2 in Phoenix is that Chris Paul will likely not play. And if that's the case, +6 on the Clippers. That is my last word today. It's too much value. I expect Tyler, even if he does play 10 guys for some odd reason, it's still a Suns team that is young, that probably won't get a 39-point triple-double from Devin Booker, and that won't have Chris Paul on the floor most likely. So it's a little bit of a gamble because there is some uncertainty with Chris Paul. But +6 for this Clippers team that did what they did against Utah, that has made adjustments throughout these past two series. This is their chance. I have to go to the well one more time. The only other last word we've done, by the way, because we had guests in studio on a couple of the others, was the Suns series against Denver, and I explained I had no clue why it was only -200. The Campazzo and Austin Rivers stuff was fantastic. They got past Portland. Great story, but good luck. And, the Suns swept, which, by the way, I'm gonna pat myself on the back. Do you remember we were in the hotel watching Game 1, sitting on the couch in the lobby? We had just gotten back from dinner. We were watching the second half of Game 1, Suns Nuggets, third quarter. And the Suns went from being down like 7-9, and they turned it into like a 15, 17-point game. They won the third quarter by about 20. They went on this huge run. And I turned to you and I said, they solved it. Chris Paul solved it. It didn't take very long. They're going to sweep the series. And it's going to be like 4-1 tomorrow. And then we actually went back to the bar, and we told Matthew Berry, a couple others, I said the Suns are going to sweep. It's going to be like at least 4-1. I believe I saw +475. And then they swept. So I know you haven't given me credit for that yet, but I did. Third quarter, I saw it. I was like, they solved it. Denver's done. Sweep.
Are you the official Suns and 4 guy?
No, I'm not. I'm not the Suns and 4 guy. I wish, because then I could TikTok dance as the Suns and 4 guy for you right now, but
those Suns
I'm not.
Ridiculous, man. Did you see the fight yesterday?
No.
Yeah.
What, in the arena or afterwards?
In the ring. Like, they were leaving out, and it was like Suns and 4, and I think there were 2 Clippers fans walking around. And
I was a little more offline yesterday. It was Father's Day. Hung out with my parents as well as my kids and family. That I missed. I will have to look it up. I know there's a Suns and 4 guy. I saw people referring to it. I thought it was related to the Denver thing. Now I understand. I have learned. I will look that up. I'll say this. I have some family from Phoenix, actually. I told them all, man, the Lakers are probably just too good. The Nets in the end, just too good. And here they are, the favorite to win the West by a pretty big margin. And, a series against the Bucks is going to be not quite a coin flip, but, they're going to be in that mix. I got to give them a ton of credit. But that is the last word. We're going to track these as I go. We got the Suns series against Denver last show. Clippers plus the 6 in game 2. Please, Ty Lue, please. And by the way, Qwan fades. Terrence Mann over 13.5. Hawks series plus 2.5 games against Milwaukee. That is going to be the show today. Everybody, thank you. Carlos, we're going to get Betting Extraordinaire back ASAP, I promise. Brought to you by BetsTV. I am Preston Johnson. DeQwan Young, that is Last Word Cheetah. We'll be back same time tomorrow, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, talking more games.